Hello, and welcome to Turing Test Fiction, where we challenge you to tell the difference between AI and human storytelling. I'm Nigel, your guide on this very strange journey. If you're new here, hit subscribe to join us in unraveling the mysteries of organic and synthetic creativity. Do you ever feel like you've been here before? What if you have? Tonight, we're examining two stories that explore justice and past lives. Will you be able to tell the difference between the one penned by a human hand and the one generated by an artificial intelligence? Let's find out. Our first story is Unfinished Business. It's a tale where justice stretches across lifetimes to find its resolution. Listen closely and see if you can pick up on the subtle clues that hint at its creator. The detective paid Mr. Warner a visit at his office downtown. He had made the appointment several weeks ago. The office had refused to schedule anything sooner. Mr. Warner was the third-generation owner, president, and CEO of Warner Holdings, a company that made its money mainly on real estate. The company owned a prized beachfront that was the subject of a dispute by the descendants of another family that claimed the beachfront belonged to them. "What is the basis of their claim?" Mr. Warner asked after the detective had settled into the chair opposite his desk. "They feel their great-great-grandfather had been cheated out of that land by your great-great-grandfather," the detective told him. "I'm a private investigator hired by that family." "Who is this family?" Mr. Warner asked. "They would never have known about their claim to the property," the detective continued, "if not for an interesting testimony by a family friend. This friend of theirs had returned from a retreat for people who wished to discover their past lives. He remembers a past incarnation that was a witness to the original dispute." "Excuse me?" Mr. Warner said. "The family friend has made a deposition that recounts the events of that day. We feel it is enough to move forward with a lawsuit." "Okay," Mr. Warner said. The detective could see he was humoring him. "And with this lawsuit, they hope to take back the beachfront as the rightful owners. And they base this claim on a family friend's testimony about a past life." "That is correct," the detective said. Mr. Warner took a minute to consider this. "All right," he finally said. "Our lawyers will get in touch. Good day." And he went back to the present business on his desk. "Sir," the detective said, "I was wondering if you'd be interested in uncovering your past lives." Mr. Warner looked up. "You are aware of the mountain of evidence that proves reincarnation is real. The process of recalling past incarnations has been perfected. It's an accurate and reproducible process." Mr. Warner's expression didn't change. The detective pressed on. "Aren't you curious about what you were in a past life? Ever since the recent breakthroughs in past life recall, millions have done it. The process takes time, but the results are reliable." "Why are you asking me to do this?" Mr. Warner asked. "The family friend's past incarnation, the one that was there to witness the original land dispute, is an instance of ancestral reincarnation. It's when a person from the past comes back as his own descendant." "I know what ancestral reincarnation is," Mr. Warner said. "You want me to go on this mystical journey of self-discovery because you want to know if I'm my own great-great-grandfather. Then you can bring me into court and force me to testify about what happened." "I'm glad you're familiar with ancestral reincarnation," said the detective. "Are you familiar with karma and the role it plays in deciding what you get reincarnated as?" Mr. Warner had grown weary of this conversation and had used every nonverbal cue to tell the detective to leave. None of these cues escaped the detective. Mr. Warner, said the detective, if these allegations are true, and if you are an ancestral reincarnation, you would have started your next life as a sea slug. That would be the price you'd pay for the crime. The fact that you've worked yourself back to a human form is a testament to all the hard work you've done to get here. Now, you have the opportunity to correct a past wrong. Maybe this is why you're human at this point in history, to make amends for your original crime. Who knows? Perhaps this will be the act that puts you over the top. Puts me over the top? Mr. Warner asked. Your escape from the birth, death, rebirth cycle. The act that sets you free. Mr. Warner put his hand to his chin in mock consideration of the matter. Well, when you put it that way, he said. He got up from his desk and walked to a file cabinet. He pulled out one of the drawers and fingered through the files. After a short while, he pulled out a set of documents. He walked back and tossed the documents onto the desk before sitting down and picking up where he left off with the business on his desk. I've already done the past life discovery thing, Mr. Warner said. That's the official documentation. The detailed account is available in the public registry, if you need to find out more. No ancestral reincarnation, I'm sorry to say. He didn't look up from the business on the desk when he gave the detective his most direct and unmistakable dismissal. Mr. Warner tried to get back to his own business. Out of the corner of his eye, he watched the detective as he walked out his office door. He kept watching him through the glass as he made his way through the lobby and toward the building entrance. Another person, a plainly dressed and unremarkable woman, who had been waiting in the lobby, stopped the detective. Mr. Warner could see them talking. He saw the woman present to the detective a set of documents. He saw the detective beckon the woman as he made his way back to his office. The detective opened the office door and let the woman in first, before coming in and tossing down a set of documents on Mr. Warner's desk. Mr. Warner, the detective said, allow me to introduce you to Trudy. Hello, Trudy, said Mr. Warner, curious to see what new nonsense was in store for him now. What can I do for you? The detective spoke. I've given you Trudy's own documentation on her past lives. He put his arm around Trudy's shoulder. Say hello to your own great-great-grandfather. Trudy's deposition won the case for the family. At the law offices, where they were completing the paperwork to transfer ownership, Trudy and the detective talked about her own spiritual journey and how the revelation of her past life had compelled her to make the trip to this town. She had met the family. They had told her to find the detective at Warner Holdings. Thank you, Trudy, said the detective. Trudy nodded. She put her hands together, bowed her head, and closed her eyes. The detective saw her disintegrate into countless, shining points of light that scattered in the wind. She had been set free. So, what did you think of Unfinished Business? Share your thoughts below. Did any part of it stand out to you? Did you find any aspect particularly intriguing? Did it feel real? Remember, hit the like button if you enjoyed the story. Now, let's move on to our second tale, Echoes of the Mist. The mist clung to cobblestones like an ancient secret, whispering stories to those who listened. Elara Sinclair tugged her trench coat closer, feeling the chill seep into her bones. Time, she mused, was a strange thing, especially when one dealt with lives lived long ago. Her office above the antiquarian bookshop smelled of old paper and ink, a sanctuary for the restless and the haunted. Today, Aidan MacLeod sat across from her, his face etched with anxiety and the weight of memories not his own. I remember, Aidan began, voice trembling. I remember it all. The betrayal, the knife in the dark. It was him, Elara. The man who's now a respected politician was once my closest friend, and he murdered me for a handful of gold. Elara nodded, her fingers absently tracing the edges of her notebook. She had heard many such tales, each a testament to the enduring nature of the human soul. Start from the beginning, she said softly. Every detail matters. Aiden's story unfolded in halting sentences, fragments of a life lived centuries ago. Loyalty turned to treachery, knife flashing in the moonlight, and the cold embrace of death. His memories were as vivid as her own, and she knew truth lay hidden in the echoes of his past. Elara spent hours in the dim light of the archives, poring over ancient records and court documents. Each page was a testament to lives lived and lost, a mosaic of history and memory. She interviewed others who recalled past lives, seeking patterns that might corroborate Aiden's story. Her quest led her to a small, forgotten chapel on the city's outskirts. The caretaker, an old man with eyes that seemed to pierce through time, spoke of a betrayal that stained the chapel's history. "It was a night like this," he said, his voice a raspy whisper. A knife, struggle, and a soul left to wander. The details matched Aiden's recollections, sending a shiver down Elara's spine. The past was bleeding into the present, and the truth was surfacing like a long-buried secret. Elara approached Robert Fraser with caution. His office, a sleek modern space devoid of history, was a stark contrast to her own. Fraser's aura of power and control was palpable. The past had a way of creeping back, no matter how deeply one tried to bury it. "Mr. Fraser," Elara said, her voice cutting through the polished veneer of the room. "I'm here about a matter of some importance. It concerns your past." Fraser's eyes narrowed, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. "I have no past that concerns you, Ms. Sinclair. My life is an open book." "Perhaps," Elara replied, her gaze steady. "But some books have hidden chapters." She laid out Aiden's story, watching Fraser closely. His face remained impassive, but there was a tension in his jaw, tightness in his shoulders that betrayed him. "Reincarnation is a proven fact, Mr. Fraser. We cannot escape our past, no matter how deeply we try to bury them." Fraser's composure cracked. "You have no proof," he snapped, his voice rising. "This is absurd! You're delving into fantasies." Elara leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The proof lies within you, Mr. Fraser. The soul remembers what the mind tries to forget." Fraser's eyes flickered with something. Fear, perhaps, or a long-buried guilt. He opened his mouth to retort, but found no words. Silence hung heavy between them, laden with the weight of centuries. As she left Fraser's office, Elara felt the past's heavy shadow. She returned to Aiden, knowing that while tangible proof was elusive, the acknowledgement of his past was a step towards closure. "Aiden," she said softly, "justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about acknowledgement. Fraser may never admit his past sins, but facing him gives you the power to move forward." Aiden nodded, relief softening his features. "Thank you, Elara. Sometimes knowing the truth is enough, even if it remains unspoken." Elara watched him leave, the mist swallowing him like a shadow. She returned to her office, the quiet hum of the city outside a reminder that time moved on, even as the past lingered. In the solitude of her sanctuary, Elara opened a new notebook and began to write. Her work was never done. There were always more threads to untangle, more souls to set free. The past was a labyrinth, but she was its keeper, guiding those lost within its twists and turns. As the candle flickered and the night deepened, Elara's thoughts drifted to her own past lives, the memories that haunted her dreams. In a world where reincarnation was a proven fact, the quest for truth was eternal, a journey through time and memory that never truly ended. 2 stories about reincarnation, mystery, and betrayal. But now, the real mystery. Which story was crafted by human creativity and which by artificial intelligence? Take a moment to reflect on the themes of justice and the echoes of past lives. Which narrative felt more artificial, more synthetic? Did any plot points seem too perfect, too logical? Were there any characteristic quirks or mistakes? Now, please pause the video, comment below with your guess. Remember, we are the detectives here, and your insights are pieces of this puzzle. So leave a comment with your thoughts on the stories. Did unfinished business resonate with you more, or did echoes of the past leave you pondering the weight of history? Which one was written by a human and which one by an AI? We are a new channel, and your feedback really helps. So please hit the like button if you enjoyed the stories, and subscribe for more existential and fictional explorations. But now, it's time for the reveal. Are you ready? The first story, Unfinished Business, a narrative of justice that transcends lifetimes, was written by talented human author going by the pseudonym of Polinitus2 on Reddit. The second story, Echoes of the Past, emerged from the sophisticated algorithms of an AI, the virtual mind of GPT-4 Omni, a system by OpenAI. So, did you guess correctly? Were your instincts on point? Or did the machine's creativity perhaps surprise you? In fact, what is creativity? Is it a higher concept beyond the dichotomy of meat and silicon? Or is creativity something that only we as humans have a claim to? If you enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe to join us at Turing Test Fiction. Your comments help shape our journey, so please don't be shy. And if you're a writer, check the video notes for our next prompt and send your submission to turingtestfiction@gmail.com. Your story could be the next one we unravel, with AI-generated illustrations bringing it to life, alongside an AI-generated story based on the same theme. Thank you for joining us in our journey into the unknown. Together, we'll continue to explore. Let's hope we can find our way back.